Hello fellow egoists! Today we'll analyze chapter 223 of Blue Lock. There's a lot to unpack this time, so let's get straight into it. The chapter first starts with Snuffy getting the ball back with the field looking something like this. A new wave of attack is coming in. Snuffy passes to Lorenzo, and while he's watching, Isagi knows that he can't currently stop Snuffy, so he decides to stay low and wait for an opportunity to strike, trying to look into Snuffy's thought process. An interesting thing is that the last time he tried to stay low and deduce someone's thought process is when he awakened the metavision, and we'll see why this is important later on. Lorenzo then passes to Drago, shifting Bastard's defense on the left and in the goal box as everyone waits for the cross from Drago. Look at how Bastard's defense is stacked into the penalty box, this is really important. Though similarly to last chapter, everyone is too focused on the ball and Snuffy uses that to his advantage by slipping in Ness's and Birkenstock's blind spot. Isagi sees this, but because of his positioning he can't do anything but wish someone would stop him. And as we see, behind Lorenzo there is indeed someone to do exactly that, Kaiser. But Snuffy's incredible physique and technique allows him to slip past Kaiser's marking just like butter on a pan, doing a pass with his head to the pipsqueak Nico, who's being insulted and marked by Noah. Though Nico puts his full trust in Snuffy's plan and does an immediate backheel pass to Barrow, who puts himself in a perfect spot to shoot free of everyone. Here we once again see the basis of Snuffy's tactic, which was similar to the one used in last chapter. By baiting the defense into shifting on one side and into the goal box, they create space on the opposing side, which they then get to by doing fast passes, though a really interesting thing is that the free space created was in Barrow's golden zone, so if he got the ball, this would have been 100% a goal for Ubers. But Isagi's godly positioning gets him to defend against this great play created by Snuffy, clearing the ball and giving a throw-in to Ubers. As Isagi says, the problem with current Bastard is that only Noah, Kaiser and himself can see Snuffy's tactics. While everyone is doing what they're expected to do in such situations, this is what Snuffy also expects, and because of that his tactics works better because of it. Couple that with the fact that Snuffy is using his positioning and physique to enable his tactics, instead of doing everything by himself, and we've got Ubers slowly but surely destroying Bastard's defense. To summarize a bit how Snuffy uses metavision, we can take it as the following. Ubers already knows what they need to do and what their positioning should be. Thanks to that, Snuffy's metavision processes his teammates' positioning much faster than the opposing team does. So the time that he would normally use to scan the field and process the information to create plays on the spot like Isagi does, can instead be used to stop the opposing team from stopping his plans. Whereas Isagi, for example, always wants to be the finisher, Snuffy uses his metavision to create a scoring opportunity with whatever finisher is the best to use. Though for now he's focusing a bit too much on using Barrow as set finisher. Because of that, Uber's tactics are a bit too linear in my opinion. To get back to the chapter, we get a conversation between Noah and Isagi. From Noah's words, we learn that Snuffy's football originates from a jujutsu technique, a Japanese martial arts that later on evolved into many other branches. So while Noah may be a better striker than Snuffy, as a player, Snuffy is probably the best in the world. Game recognizes game, to say the least. And now we get to the spicy part of the chapter, as Isagi asks to Noah what they're supposed to do to defeat him. To which Noah responds by saying that he has no idea, which I don't think is totally true. An interesting detail is that Isagi asks while bickering with Noah to verbalize his idea, which is a callback to the conversation they had before the Barsha match. Though the main difference is that where Isagi didn't know what to do but didn't want to give up on his goal, here Noah instead says that to Isagi that if you can't beat Snuffy then you can surely hold him off until the star change system gets him to get out of the field. The most interesting part though, and the one that makes me think that Noah does know how to beat Snuffy, is that he describes not only the situation on the field perfectly by saying that Bastard is disorganized and that only some of them can actually understand the field, but also that he gives the biggest hint to Isagi's new piece, which we'll get into in a bit. With Noah's words, Isagi enters flow as seen by his eye design. He has found his new piece to use and asks to Raichi if he's ready to die. And with this, we've reached the end of the chapter. Now that we've gotten a bit of an overview of the chapter, we can focus on the biggest part of this chapter, Isagi's new piece, and how it's foreshadowed to us through the storytelling and general vibe of this chapter. As said earlier in the video, Isagi analyzed Snuffy's thought process from the sides. The last time he did that to such an extent was when he discovered metavision from watching Kaiser, and after watching both of those guys, he entered flow as he found a new piece. Another big detail is that Isagi's left eye is highlighted instead of his right. You may think that this doesn't mean a lot, though with the picture shown on screen we can see that whenever Isagi finds new pieces to his playmaking, his right eye is highlighted, but when he's thinking about wanting to score goals and things related to that, it's instead his left eye who's the main focus, with him having a spiral eye design instead of a standard metavision design when thinking about scoring goals. As said in my chapter 221 analysis, my theory is that Isagi may not only incorporate the Predator eyes into his playstyle and use curved direct shots to use his newfound piece, but also go further and use both Metavision and Predator eyes at the same time thanks to his senses, which would allow him to get as much information as possible without the drawbacks of tunnel vision that Predator eyes tend to give. Though this isn't the main piece that Isagi found. To discover what it actually is, let's take a quick look at how Isagi's evolution throughout the nail was and its relation to Master Strikers. As said in my video about Kaiser's future, we see that Isagi devours each Master Striker's philosophy. He was tainted by Noah's philosophy of rationality, he used Lavigno's philosophy by devouring Metavision from Kaiser, then put his own twist to it thanks to egocentrism, and finally upgraded his body to be able to use Metavision at best after the Manshine City match. So what could he devour from Snuffy's philosophy? The job side of it. Snuffy's philosophy is that football is a job, and he proposes to the players to become the limbs of his tactics. And Isagi will devour exactly that. This chapter hints it in really subtle ways, starting from when Isagi sees Snuffy in the Bastard's blind spot, but can't do anything about it as he's far from there, and when Noah says that Bastard is disorganized. Isagi's new piece would be to give orders to his teammates and have them go to the spots that he can see. So while Bastard's players may not be able to see weak points that Snuffy creates, thanks to Isagi's commands, Bastard will be able to still defend against those spots. And this is why Raichi is the piece that Isagi wants to use. Raichi's incredible stamina will be of use to Isagi's orders. He will make Raichi run around the entire field to defend against Snuffy's tactics thanks to Isagi's commands. And with this in mind, we can understand the final page really deeply. Isagi asking for Raichi to die is basically asking for Raichi to give up his ego, not totally, but at least a bit. Give up on his instinct and instead become a puppet to Isagi's tactics. And most importantly, the sentence that foreshadows this, to quote, "The future is always something you create for yourself." So instead of Isagi just wishing that someone would run to the spots that he sees, he would create the opportunity to block those by ordering Raichi to run to those spots. With this, Isagi may not directly surpass Snuffy, but he will be able to hold him off and waste Snuffy's 3 minutes. With Snuffy out of the field, Isagi's new commands and general playmaking will finally be able to destroy Ubers. Though if Snuffy's tactics get destroyed, does this mean that this is the end of Ubers? If we follow Snuffy's words, it should be. You should put responsibility on him. But which character has been shown to not be afraid to change and has still continued to follow his ego even in a system like Ubers? A system that tamed even the King Barrow? Nico. Couple that with his cover, and I'm sure that when Ubers will start be on their last leg, Nico will start to follow his ego, despairing at Uber's situation and finding a new way through his ego, and the creation of a new rare card will be done. Through that, Barrow may also start to awaken his ego again and stop being the tamed king that he currently is. Honestly, I've been pretty disappointed so far with his character, as well he has had great opportunities, he wasted them because he followed Snuffy's tactics to the T, instead of adaptating around them. Honestly, there's a lot more to be said, but I've been kind of rushing this video since I'm in a new environment, so I've also recently made a new Discord server where I'll post some shorts analysis and updates on the videos I'm working on, so if you're up to see it, go check it out. And with all that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, even if it's kinda rushed once again, and have a great one, fellow egoists.